So this is the conic section, and the first three sections are very similar to Algebra 2. So if you memorize the formulas in Algebra 2, you should have no problem. But if you didn't, then it would be a little bit of problem. Okay, first of all, conic section is talking about cones. So we have two cones. It's a double cone. And we're looking at a plane that cuts through the cone, and we're looking at a cross section. So for example, there is this plane that is cutting through the cone, slanted. So what shape is the cross section? Not a circle. Oval, but in math we call that ellipse. Yes. Ellipse. Because it's slanted, so it's going to create an ellipse. Let's say that it's slanted even more so that it goes through the edge of the cone. Then what shape does that make? Parabola. Yes, parabola. Let's say it's a vertical cut, and it cuts along the edge of the cone. Hyperbola. Hyperbola. I don't know if you can see that, sorry. Okay, so three shapes so far. Everyone's good? All right, next. Let's say it cuts directly through the middle of the cone.
Is it just a point?
Yes, it's just a point. And then this one, it cuts directly on the surface of the cones. Yes, it's just a line. And this one, it's cutting directly through the middle of the cone.
Hourglass?
It's two intersecting lines. Okay, so these are shapes we're gonna, look at when a plane cuts through a double cone. So we're in pre-calc now, so the questions are gonna get a little bit harder than before. So the general equation for all conic section is ax squared plus bxy plus cy squared plus dx plus ey plus f equals 0. So this is kind of the general equation of any kind of conic section. And so what's going to happen is if we want to get it into a form we have seen before, then we'll have to complete the square and do all that stuff, and we get that into standard form or vertex form. But this is called the general form, and you got to memorize it. Okay, so kind of look at the pattern. It goes A to F, and which letter goes with which position. We're going to spend a lot more time on it later, but just know that this is kind of the general equation. Today we're only going to talk about the parabola, so let's do that. Okay, parabola. We have two kinds. One that goes up and down, the other one goes left and right. Let's kind of revisit. So this point that's on the tip of the parabola is called what? Vertex. And vertex always has two letters. Yeah, HK. Good. This point that's inside the parabola is called the point is focus. The point is the focus. And then this line that's outside, directrix, yes. All right, so yes, someone mentioned that there's this distance C. That was in Algebra 2. So in this book in particular, they don't use C. So they use P. P is the distance from the vertex to the focus, and also from the vertex to the directrix. So it's the same thing as last year when we used C. Now we just use P because this book uses P. but it's the same. Okay, so now we're going to do what we did last year. Try to figure out the point without memorizing formulas. So this parabola points up. So in order to get from the vertex to the focus, what direction do I need to go? Up. Okay, if I need to move up, I need to move up by how much? P, right? If I need to move up, would I move H or K? K. So therefore, what's the coordinate for the focus?
K plus P.
H comma K plus P. Okay, now I'm going to go to the directrix. How do I get to the directrix from the vertex? Okay, minus P, so I have to go down, right? Go down from where? H or K? Huh? K. Yeah, from K, because we're going up and down. Up and down means Y direction, right? So it's going to be K minus P. Now, directrix is a line. It's a horizontal line in this case. So what's the equation?
Y equals K minus P.
Y equals K minus P, because it's a horizontal line, therefore must be Y equals. Are you guys with me? Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, so that's that. Now, let's kind of recall from just thinking about a parabola. Do you remember the vertex form of a parabola? Y equals something. A x minus h squared. Correct. Okay, this is the vertex form of every single parabola, and this is probably the form that we use the most because you can see where the vertex is and A, which is how the stretch, the vertical stretch of the parabola. Now, if you recall, a lot of times we can't find A because it's not part of the graph. We don't know what the stretch is. However, we know the distances between the vertex to the focus and so on. So that part P is going to be part of A. So that is going to be 1 over 4P. So 1 over 4P is the same as A. So last year you did 1 over 4C, but now it's 1 over 4P. X minus h squared plus K. Okay, one more thing. So if the parabola points up, is A going to be positive or negative? Positive. Anything that points up means it's a positive leading coefficient. So this is, positive. And so if it points down, then what is that? Negative. Yes. All right, so now let's go ahead and fill everything in. Focus, we know in this case is H comma K plus P. And then directrix is Y equals K minus P. All right, so let's talk about some new vocab. Focal length. Focal length means P. That's just the distance between the vertex to the focus. Focal width. Focal width is going to be 4P. So it's two new words. Focal length, which is P. Focal width is 4P. Okay. The book doesn't like to use vertex form very much, so they would ask you to write it in standard form. Not the general form we were starting with, but standard form. So there are 3 forms so far: general form, standard form, vertex form. So the book is going to do it this way. It's really easy. I'm going to show you how it's done. So the first thing is they basically first subtracted K from both sides. So then they get a Y minus K equals to 1 over 4P times X minus H squared. And then the next thing is they multiply everything by 4P. And so that's gone. So they call this the standard form. Okay, so the way I do this is I always make P positive. So I just think of it as a distance, so it's always positive. And if it happens to point down, then I just make the whole equation negative instead of thinking about like, p is positive or negative. It's too confusing. I just make it a distance. And if it points down, it's negative. Points up, it's positive. All right, let's do the one that's sideways. So, do you guys think you can fill everything in? Probably? Okay. So go ahead and fill in as much as you can on the right-hand side. All right, let's try going over it together. Let's start with Penny. What is this point called? This here. No. The point I'm pointing to, this point. What is it called? Yes, vertex. And vertex always has what coordinate? H what? Yeah. Okay. Sherry, what about this point? What is it called? Focus. And then for this focus, what's the coordinate?
H plus P, Q.
Yes. Because this distance is P, and we're moving left and right, so we're going to have to add to the H part. Eunice, what is this one called? And then what's the equation?
X equals H minus P.
Good. Okay, let's see. Let's start with vertex form. Amelia, do you have the vertex form? Y minus K, yes. Yes. And then we can change it so that A is 1 over 4P, and then Y minus K squared plus H. Okay, we did this already. Okay, P and 4P. All right, Trey, do you have the standard form?
For 4P parentheses X minus 8 parentheses equals parentheses Y minus K parentheses squared.
Yes, very good. All right, you guys are very good. Now we're going to just find the equation of a parabola from given some information. So, write an equation for the parabola whose directrix is the line x equals 2 and whose focus is the point -2, 0. So first, always draw a picture. The picture is going to help you a lot to at least figure out how it should look like. Key parts to a parabola is h, k, and c. All right, so let's go ahead and draw a sketch. X equals 2, that's this line, and I'm going to label it D for directrix. Focus is at -2, 0. That's here, so label it F. The next question is, where is the vertex, the HK? Where is the vertex? 0, 0. Has to be in the middle, right? So we need HK and we need C if we want to write an equation. So HK is going to be 0, 0. And so then not C, what am I doing? P. What's P? 2. So we always just want to keep it positive. Okay, so don't think too much. Which direction is the parabola going to point? Yeah, to the left. All right, so if it's to the left, we're going to write vertex form first, and then we'll write it in standard form. Is it going to be a y equals equation or x equals equation? Yes. So write out the skeleton. X equals 1 over 4p times y minus k squared plus h. But it's pointing to the left. So is it positive or negative? Negative. So we want to put a negative in there. So now we have all the information. We just want to put it in and finish the problem. So -1 over 4 times 2, so that's 8. K and h are both 0, so just y squared. Good? Okay. Let's have you practice one. This one's a little bit different. It tells you the focal width, so you got to find P from there. Okay, y equals -1/20, x plus 3 squared plus 3. So a lot of you just forgot the negative. It is pointing downward. Okay, the other kind of question is that it's going to give you an equation, and you have to find the parts. Did I miss one? Oh, yes. Okay, so find the focus, the directrix, and the focal width of the parabola. Okay, so what you want to do is same thing as before, HK and P. Okay, where is HK?
0,
0,
0.
0. All right, P is going to depend on A, which in this case is -1/3. So remember that A is equal to 1/4P, and A in this case is -1/3, so that's equal to 1/4P. You're going to end up with a negative P, but it doesn't really matter. I just keep it positive anyways. Cross multiply, -4P is 3, so P is -3/4. All right, let's kind of draw a picture. Vertex is at 0, 0. Which direction is the parabola going to point? Negative, but which? Down. Yeah, so it's going to point down. And the focus is going to be inside, directrix is outside, and that's off by 3/4. So, okay, so it wants the focus, the directrix, and the focal width. All right, focus we know is going to go down by 3/4. Going down by 3/4 means from y. So this is going to be 0, -3/4. Directrix is outside, so higher than the vertex by 3/4. So that's going to be what? It is, huh? 3/4, but it's a line, so y equals, yes, correct. Focal width, just you got to memorize the formula. Focal width is 4P, so that's going to be 3. And it's a length, so don't put a negative on it. Are you guys okay? It's not too hard, I think. Okay. All right, let's go to the next page and then do some practice. So, So this one is in standard form. If you're not used to seeing standard form, just change it to vertex form, and then you can see the vertex a lot better. Okay, so you still have to find the vertex, the focus, the directrix, and focal width. Remember, you should start with the picture and HK and P. Okay, the vertex is going to be at -4, -1. Focus is -4 and -5/2. Directrix is y equals 1/2, and the focal width is 6. Okay, focal width is always positive. We're talking about a real length. All right, key skill, complete a square. So this is basically in the general form that we talked about at the very beginning of class. We're going to show that this is a parabola, and we're going to do that by completing a square. And then from the vertex form, we're going to find the vertex, focus, and directrix. All right, complete a square. So what's going to happen is, since it's a parabola, there's only going to be one variable that has a square, and one of them doesn't have a square. So what you do is, this one does not have a square. You're going to get it by itself, and everything should go to the other side. So I like to keep things positive, so I'm going to move the 6x to the right. So then this is 6x equals y squared plus 2y plus 13. And then I'm going to complete the square. To complete a square, so you might want to divide by 6, but it's not preferred. You make your calculation really, really hard. Don't divide by 6. Do it last. So what you're going to do is you're going to complete the square now. So that means you Put a blank there, plus 13. All right, let's talk about this. So I have an equation that has two sides. If I add a number on one side, what should I do to the other side? Add it as well. We got to keep it balanced. So we're at this point where if I add a number on one side and I cannot change the other side, what should I do to that same side to keep it balanced? Yeah, minus, right? The only way is to subtract it out. So what we're doing now is we're gonna subtract that number out to keep it balanced, because I gotta have a net 0. If there are numbers in front here, let's say there's a 2, you gotta put a 2 there. We have to keep it balanced. And the thing that happens the most is you have a negative here. If there's a negative there, make sure you do put another negative there. So be careful on leading coefficients. Okay, so let's finish. What number goes in the box to complete a square? 1. So if you don't know how to complete a square, you take b, divide by 2, and square. Oh, I think we did it at the first chapter of the year, right? So b over 2 squared is what completes the square. So now 6x is equal to y plus 1 squared plus 12. Now divide by 6. If you divide it really early, you get a bunch of fractions. It's very hard to complete the square. So now divide by 6. So x is equal to 1, 6, and then y plus 1 squared plus 2. Okay, now find the vertex, focus, and directrix. So the vertex on this one is 2, -1, because this is an x direction. Focus is going to be 7/2, -1, and directrix is at x equals 1/2. All right, one last one, and we're done for the day. So go ahead and finish this one. See that there is a leading coefficient. You got to take the leading coefficient out. So the vertex form is f of x equals -2 times x minus 3 squared plus 18. Vertex is at 3, 18. Focus is 3 and then 17 and 7/8. Directrix is y equals 18 and 1/8.